What if Yanmega was in Gen 1 OU? Now that I managed to go a week, mostly going over some of the most popular requested Pokemon, I'm going to go back to focusing on Generation Jumbo Season 2. And I'm probably going to start with the bug types. So, starting with Yanmega. This one was recommended to me by Greg Gusto in my Discord server. If you would like to have some suggestions, participate in future tournaments, or just want to be in a cool place to hang out, join the server. Saku's Domain is a pretty cool place, and we would love to have you. And I'll be honest, if you join the server, you're significantly more likely for me to do your suggestion, because in the server, I can actually talk about it with you. And with me, I am way more willing to do something if I actually get interested in it, rather than just having you guys just keep commenting it to me over and over again. And luckily, you guys can also just give suggestions for stuff I wouldn't even think about. Case in point, Yanmega. This is a Pokemon that I never ever think about really. But when someone brought up to me, it does have a very interesting move pool and stats for Gen 1. So I figured I'd give it a shot. Especially since I'm trying to find good bug types to hopefully give them a chance for the current generation Jumbo. And Yanmega is pretty promising just looking at stats. Surprisingly really good HP for Gen 1 standards. I've gone over plenty of other Pokemon that are either bulkier or more offensive that have 60 or 70 HP. So it's very weird seeing Yanmega be surprisingly high. Same with its defense being higher than its attack. I'm not sure why, considering it's a dragonfly that has fangs, but cool. 116 special attack is definitely nothing to sneeze at. It's higher than Starmie, I'm pretty sure. However, because it doesn't have any stab, it's not as good as it seems. And its attack is also pretty decent, but there's no good bug or flying moves it can really use, so it definitely suffers a lot. And that 95 speed is pretty solid. It means it ties with Jinx, which I'd argue that's the bare minimum, since it wants to be a very fast attacker. But if it was just that, just being a flying bug type would make it kind of garbage, because that is one of the worst typings you can be in the game. You're weak to ice, you're weak to electric, quad weak to rock. That whole ground resistance that bug has, you don't even have because you're immune to ground, which is technically nice and technically a plus. But it also means that you're just quad weak to rock, which I think is not a good trade-off at all. But luckily Yanmega has some pretty good moves. Doesn't have a lot, but it has some good ones. Unfortunately, most of its bug moves are not only unavailable, but would also be physical, which is annoying. So its only real special attack is Psychic. And let's be real, if it were to have any special move, this is definitely the one you would want it to have. Because now you have a chance to lower the opponent's special. So if you just spam that, then you can theoretically wear down any Pokemon in the game. Which is good, I guess. And that's kind of where it ends when it comes to the moves that Showdown thinks are good, which I find funny. But luckily there's a lot of moves that are good in Gen 1 and not so much anywhere else. And Flash is not one of them. Hyper Beam is, however. Hyper Beam, especially with your base 95 speed, means you have a very good crit rate. So Hyper Beam is always good just for finishing off opponents. And Hypnosis. Oh boy. This thing is tied with Jinx as the second fastest sweep setter, I'm pretty sure. And this is pretty much Yanmega's only real gimmick. A ground immune Pokemon that's very fast and can put things to sleep. And I can't really say it's bad, but compare this to the other fast sweep users, Jinx and Gengar, both of which Yanmega suffers something from. It's not as fast as Gengar, but also its sweep move isn't as accurate as Jinx. So it's technically a trade-off, for one or the other. You can say it's a faster sleep setter than Jinx, but just less accurate. And you can also... Or actually, no. I guess no matter what way you look at it, it's always just going to be a worse Gengar. But it's a Gengar that I guess can hit physically. Because along with Hyper Beam, it also has Slash. Which, obviously, with a base 95 speed stat, it's always going to crit. Or at least it should. When making the replays, for whatever reason, twice it didn't crit. Which I think is just kind of silly. But this is going to be your moveset. And I can't think of any reason to really have anything else. And technically speaking, this is all the coverage you need. Because if you are going to have one special move, like I said, Psychic is probably the way to go. And coincidentally, that's also the move that's strong against Gengar. Not to mention, the only ground types don't really like being hit with a special move. Especially when that lowers your special even further. Which means it's technically good enough coverage for, like, Rhydon. Though I'm pretty sure if, like, the opponent has, like, Sand Slash, you just, like, die. So the moveset's good enough. But, does anyone really look at this and think, yeah, that's gonna dominate OU? No. You're either thinking, okay, that's pretty solid. Or you're thinking, how is this thing even gonna survive? And, I guess we'll find out together. Let's look at the replay, shall we? Yanmega is strangely a Pokemon that I kind of had to look at every single replay for. It's weird, because it's like very, I would say, mid. But at the same time, its stats, typing, and move pool are unique enough to where it does have a pretty unique interaction with everything in the game. I don't have to skip like the Cloyster or the Gengar matchups because it's just like clicking like the same button over and over again. Starting off with the boy himself, Tauros. Hypnosis means you might get lucky, but even then, you don't hit pretty hard like, with either of like your Slash or Hyper Beam, and you can only do damage with Psychic with special drops. And with how much Tauros crits, I'm just gonna say it's a bad matchup, but because it's sweep mechanics, technically, everything is a cuckoo either way. But I don't like that. And I think Yanmega got a little bit unlucky here. I think with how much faster Snorlax is, I would say this is probably a good matchup. But then again, just like Tauros, you can't do much damage. In fact, it's probably even worse with Snorlax. But I think I'm still gonna keep it in good, just because sleep mechanics are just that busted. In Chansey, I actually don't have a problem putting it in great. Granted, both Thunder Wave and Ice Beam are kind of death sentences. More so Thunder Wave. But I think that Chansey has more of the fear from Yanmega, like putting the sleep and then this like using both Slash and Hyper Beam. So I don't think it really changes much. Maybe the worst Pokemon to ever be in great, since technically Chansey can just completely ruin you. But also, like, it's kind of hard to judge a Pokemon that is mainly just trying to spam sweep moves. And Alakazam is an interesting one to me. Because Alakazam is faster, and since it can paralyze you, and when you paralyze your Yanmega, it's basically a death sentence. But if the Yanmega survives, or if it manages to just, like, get a sleep off, it can hit decently hard. Not enough to 2-hit KO Alakazam, unfortunately. But the matchup can go either way, minus, like, paralysis hacks. Same with sleep hacks. And then for Cloyster, I guess I technically could have like put a clamp on this, but a part of me feels like you wouldn't even bother. I think a Blizzard is probably good enough, and I'm not sure if that like special drop was needed in order to actually finish off Cloyster or not. I would say this is more so still a bad matchup though. Or no, I guess it's technically it could go either way. Since even without a special drop, how much did that first Psychic do? That first Psychic did 30. And yeah, I think it's probably it could go either way. But maybe you can argue being in Cloyster's favor, but I don't think so. And Executor is funny because Slash doesn't do that much even with a crit. So there's a decent chance that Executor could wake up, and if it puts you to sleep, game over. Let's also not forget you're using Hypnosis, which is very close to being around like dynamic punches accuracy, which is never good. So, honestly, when I go back to the tier list, I might put Executor in bad. Because now that I'm looking at the replay a second time, it really does not look good at all. And Gengar in Yanmega is kind of funny, because you can debatably look at this one as just like both of them like trying to see who hits Hypnosis first. There's like a Gengar mirror, but I don't think that matters too much, because I feel like Gengar is threatening enough with Thunderbolt to where Yanmega doesn't risk it in the first place. As you saw there, Thunderbolt does way more damage to Yanmega than Yanmega does to Gengar with Psychic. And if Gengar gets a crit, like Yanmega's screwed. And then Gengar has the same crit rate as Tauros, so you're definitely not risking it no matter what. Not much of a benefit either. And Jolteon, I think it's just never worth trying to use Hypnosis on, because like even here, like Jolteon crits a lot. So I feel like in this one, debatably, Yanmega can even be considered lucky that the Jolteon didn't crit at all. But I will say, if the Jolteon does manage to go to sleep, Critical Slash is a 3-hit KO. So I guess that's, like, nice. Also, I apologize for not making a Jolteon replay yesterday for Tyranitar. I probably should have done that, even if Critical Double Kick wouldn't do that much damage. Would have been funny. I know Tyranitar will eventually be in a Generation Jumble season, so you'll get to see that replay eventually. And these two have the exact same speed set, so it's mostly just matter of chance. I still badly want to put this in bad matchup, but no. Even though Jinx logically should have every single advantage, just because Yanmega has a speed tie, it means it is super freaking risky to even risk getting the Lovely Kiss in the first place. Which is dumb. I know it's dumb. Sleep is dumb. But for some reason I love Gen 1, despite its sleep mechanics. It's sort of the same thing with Rhydon. Like, we all know that Rock Slide should kill, but it just doesn't. Also, can I just talk about something that is fine and intriguing? Because for one of these moves is super effective, which I know that, but Yanmega using a Psychic without a special drop did 27% with 116 special attack. Meanwhile, a few days ago, I did a Alolan Sandslash, and while it's true, Stab Wizard is super effective, that was still using a base 25 special attack, and it did more than half of Rhydon's HP. I just find damage calcs funny, and stuff like Stab is also pretty funny. Gen 1's the generation where you're more likely to see Pokemon without any good stab moves. But at the same time, a lot of those Pokemon are using, like good normal moves. And technically Yanmega is. But I think if Yanmega's stats were switched, if it had a base 74 special, and a base 116 attack, I think Yanmega would be significantly better. And that could even potentially justify having just a actual good niche in Gen 1 OU. Because in my opinion, everything we see here so far, it's just annoying if anything. It's not even good. It's just like, if you want to use it, just annoy somebody. Because, honestly, looking at how Yanmega does against most of these Pokemon, it's a trade-off where you might even just be wasting your time using Yanmega, since there's a good chance it'll just miss Hypnosis and just die, or get statused. So in all honesty, what reason do you have to use Yanmega? What does Yanmega do that any other sweep setter can't do? Nothing really. And I have a feeling that Yanmega won't be very good for Generation Jumble either. Because for Generation Jumble, you are going to have multiple different bug types. He's going to be competing with Pokemon such as Armaldo, which I just do not see Yanmega doing a very good job. Same with competing against Vespiquen. It's just no. Absolutely not. Also, that Swellow replay was the replay of all time. All I have to say is that Swellow is just unwinnable no matter what. Its crit slash only does 20%. So, yeah. Good luck with that. Starmie can paralyze you, has healing, has super effective Thunderbolt and Blizzard. Technically speaking, just like with any Pokemon, nothing's ever truly unwinnable when you have sweep packs. But I would not put my money on it. I'm just gonna assume that the Starmie, good chance you don't even bother just going for, what's it called? Thunder Wave? You honestly might just try to go for the crit, because you might just know that, like, the Yanmega is just never gonna risk it. But that's just my opinion. And last but not least, we have Zapdos, as usual. Zapdos is faster than you. It has Stropek. So for like 19% of the time, like, it might just get a crit and you don't even get to do anything with your Yanmega. I think just like Jolteon, it should go in like unwinnable. So let's change this tier list a little bit. This should probably go here. I think Executor should probably go to bad matchups. And this should go to either could go either way. But I can also see Snorlax being in bad matchups as well. I'm probably gonna lean towards there. Because I think even with Psychic, it's gonna take like, I think 2 special drops before Snorlax actually really starts to fear you. So yeah, here's the tier list, and not very good. Not really. It's been a while since I've had a Pokemon that really underperformed. But even then, Yanmega is still technically usable. I would say it's more usable than some of the other Pokemon that are like currently like, you know, niche options in Gen 1. Like I'd probably use Yanmega over freaking like Machamp. As much as I hate to say it, potentially over Pinsir as well. However, Pinsir does have a better typing, and Sword Stance is a actual real win condition, instead of just like praying you hit with Hypnosis. So the other bug types, I think, will be a lot better. I think I'm debating between Armaldo or Vespiquen tomorrow. Armaldo is a, you know, rock type, and its bug typing means it's actually not weak to ground. Not to mention the Sword Stance user. You can probably see how that can be pretty good. But Vespiquen is a pure bug type, I'm pretty sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But it'll also be having all 3 of its signature moves: Attack Order, Defense Order, and Heal Order. So you can probably imagine that being pretty big as well. So I'll just let you guys decide what my next video is going to be. Do you guys want Armaldo or Vespiquen? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.